Okay, sorry. I think Mercury must be in retrograde, but it's not because I am all mixed up today. So, welcome. We are going to be doing a journaling session, and I'm super excited. So, give me a second and we'll get everyone going. Hey, Jen. Okay, wait one sec, guys. Where are you guys? Here we go. Hold on. Let's see if this will work. Hey.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Hang on, I'm trying to get Bri on.
Great.
I don't know why. I always am just technologically challenged. So forgive me. Just one
Because
second.
this isn't normal for human beings. Give yourself a break. None of this is normal, okay?
No, I know, and it doesn't feel normal. I know it's so great to be able to connect this way, but it's like disconnecting sometimes. So it doesn't come naturally to me, to put it lightly. Okay, why
We'll be
can't
patient, no problem.
yeah, give me one second because we're having issues with town. Stay tuned, everybody. I hope everyone has their journals ready.
I got
That's so pretty.
I've got 3.
You do? That's awesome. Do you try? Well, we'll get to it, but I can't wait to hear the process. But let me. Oh, here we go. Okay, fingers crossed. This is gonna work. Bri, are you there? It's not working for me. Sorry, guys. Hang tight. One second. Shoot a boot. It's saying town is unable to join. Hang on one sec, guys. We're gonna fix this glitch.
Looks like she's joining.
Oh, we got it! Yay! Sorry. Alrighty, we have the whole gang. All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. So I'm Jen, for those of you who don't know me. I am one of the co-founders of Town, and we are devoted to sustainability for both people and planet. And I'm really, really excited to kick off our first town hall by talking about a method of sustainability by sustaining ourselves, which I think it's really powerful and really important in sustainability. We're going to talk about journaling. And I'm really thrilled to be in conversation today with 2 women who really, really inspire me. My dear friend Bri Jenkins is here to represent the town community. And Bri is a public speaker. She's an activist with years of experience in the nonprofit sector. I am always asking Bri for advice and where to look and get knowledge, and she's just amazing. She's also on the board of Random Acts, and she is always using her platform to evoke change, and now she is a consultant to help organizations become more diverse, equitable, and accessible. So welcome, Bri. Thank you so much for being here. And Laura Rubin also is our journaling expert, and she's going to guide us through a session and answer all questions about journaling and how to incorporate the practice into our lives in a very meaningful way. And Laura is the founder of AllSwell, which is a company that is dedicated to educating people on the mental, emotional, and physical benefits of journaling. And AllSwell makes beautiful, beautiful journals that you can use to write or draw in. Show your journal again, Laura. It's so beautiful.
This is the one I'm currently using, but we have other covers as well.
I love it. and then also a deck of writing prompts as well, which are super helpful because if you're like me and you struggle with what to write about, these writing decks are really helpful and a great prompt to get yourself going and inspired. So Laura also hosts journaling workshops like this one that we are doing here today. And she even offers one-on-one creative coaching to help people find their voices and get unstuck, which is what I really need. So I'm very excited. I'm so excited to have you all here today. And I'm excited, Laura, to talk about the power of putting pen to paper, because I think this is something that we all need, especially after this last year getting unstuck and feeling inspired. So I am so excited and so thrilled. So I need all the advice and inspiration that I can get. So,
Jen, I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much for creating this space and inviting me in. Bri, it is such a pleasure to meet you. Once I learned about you through Jen, I've been totally Insta-stalking you. I've been reposting some of your incredible wisdom to the AllSwell account. Much respect, and I'm really, really delighted to be sharing this space with both of you amazing women this morning. Thank you very much.
I know, I'm so excited to join you as well. Jen asked the other day and I was like, absolutely, I will figure it out. I will make it work, but I'm excited to be here with both of you too.
Thank you. I thought a great place to sort of kick off would be to ask each of you what your current journaling practice is like. Where are you? Are you a regular journaler? Do you have some hurdles, some speed bumps, or is this something that you really are just trying to dip a toe into for the first time? Let us know sort of where you are in the pantheon.
Bri, you want to go first?
First. So I started journaling probably, I mean, we all had a diary when we were younger, right? But I have always used journaling as a way to like process my thoughts. I'm an only child, so sometimes I would just like write things down. And then I lost my mom when I was 15. My dad and I started talking when I was 18 because I started therapy when I was 15. And so my doctor at the time was like, well, start journaling, like write down everything you're feeling, very validating. And so I started with that. And as I've gotten older, I'm very much a pen to paper person to get my ideas and thoughts and plans out. So a lot of manifestation work goes into that, a lot of business planning, a lot of, again, working through thoughts of grief, and also with planning what to post on my Instagram. I'll like write things out first to kind of I still like kind of make like when you're writing like a little like diagram of like, this is what it should have in it. So I use journaling in a lot of different ways, but mostly to process. I feel like I can be very analytical and logistic in my brain. And so to get it out on paper has been helpful for me. So I think it definitely ebbs and flows. I, like Jen, like sometimes need a prompt. And so I think if I have a prompt, I would write more. So actually I'm really excited for today to like have a sort of like more structure to my journaling.
Oh, that's incredible. I have to say, I think you are kind of varsity level journaler, right? So I'm giving you that award already, because one of the things that I really love about what you just shared is that you recognize that journaling is a tool for many things, not just sort of wah, 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 wah. Because some people feel that is a form of just like complaining on paper, and they don't necessarily feel comfortable with that, or they feel like it's kind of a negative thing. And certainly the Dear Diary approach is valid and important, but it really is only one way to use your journal. And it also speaks to, in large part, why I started AllSwell, because I recognized that journaling had a little bit of a PR problem. It was more associated with teen girl angst, with being the legitimate form of mental and emotional and even physiological well-being that it is. I dove into all of the research, big research nerd over here. And this thing that had always felt good that I've been doing since I was a single digit, like you, I came to it as a young woman. For me, I was 8 when a family friend gave me my first journal. And it wasn't until I dug into all the research as an adult that I realized this thing that's always been helpful for me and has always felt good actually has all these benefits. It is, on the physiological side, it does everything from speed wound healing. It boosts your immunity. The T cells, which are essentially the backbone of your immune system, it gets boosted by them. It helps curb PTSD. It helps boost your mood. It helps reduce anxiety. It even improves lung health. So all of these things, and the list goes on and on and on, right? All these things are available to you simply by the act of putting pen to paper. You don't need any special equipment. You don't need a class. You don't need anything like a special outfit. nope, just a pen and a couple pieces of paper and a few minutes of time. So that's one of the reasons why I'm so dedicated to sharing the good word, because for those of us who maybe are a little shy about sharing how we feel about things or don't necessarily have access to a mental health professional, you can still find your way to a notebook, and it can provide all of those benefits for you. So thank you, Bri, for sharing your story.
That's awesome. I'm more of a JV kind of journaler. It's so funny. I was actually reviewing some of my old journals that I had from like my Dear Diary days, and they're all very angsty, like, I want so-and-so to like me, and my parents are terrible, all this stuff. But I felt like I was a journaler who would write more in an emotional way. And I feel lately like I'm in a bit of a rut because I feel like, well, I'm happy, or, like, but I feel less, I feel the same. I feel inspired, but I'm struggling lately with the packaging of what it looks like. And I want to get back to that creative self of not caring what it looks like. Like lately, truly, I mean, it's so ridiculous, but it's like what's pretty as opposed to like what I need, the vomit and diarrhea that probably needs to come out. So I need to figure that, I need to get back to that and find that again. And I think maybe that also means taking more time for myself, or, having to actually reflect a bit more. Or so I'm needing that prompt, I think, and that push.
Yes. Yes, I really understand that. And one of the ways that I suggest to get past that sort of the surface, and that surface can be the pretty things, or it can just be like the chatter. What I recommend is doing a timed rewrite, so that you're actually committing to writing for a certain number of minutes. And you set the timer on your phone, put it on airplane mode, and commit to writing for 7 full minutes. Because what I find is, or 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever time you have in order to give yourself for the practice. But what I find is that unless I'm filling that space, I kind of stop. Unless I'm super inspired, right? Mm-hmm. But unless I have like a specific prompt or something that I'm coming to the journal with, often what happens is that I write sort of what's top of mind, and then I move on with my day. But if I am committing to filling that period of time, what happens often is that you get past that stuff and then you get under it. And that's where the opening is, right? And so I recommend that. It's just a super simple practice. It's so easy. And if you can, take 10 minutes to do it, great. Another thing is that I find that people have a lot of preconceived notions about how they need to be sitting down in like some beautiful chair and have this amazing setting and like the perfect matcha, and then sit and write like Joan Didion or Anais Nin for 15 or 25 minutes. This is not realistic. And as far as I'm concerned, like if you just take a few minutes, a few times a week, it is so much better than imposing all of this self-care stress on yourself about how it's supposed to look or supposed to be. One workshop that I led recently for a group of women, this amazing woman is a mother of 3 and super busy, as well as an artist, and juggling a lot. And the only time she had to journal was after she dropped her children off at school, literally sitting in the car. She used her steering wheel to like balance her notebook on, and that's where she wrote. And I give her so much respect for finding the space and time. It doesn't have to look beautiful. Now, if you want to ritualize it and create that beautiful environment for yourself, please, I invite you to do it. That's incredible. But I really want to divest all of us with this kind of like sense of if we don't do it just right, it's not worth doing. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I suggest to people who are just starting out, they don't know really kind of like how to jump in. I suggest 4 by 4 by 4. Try to journal for 4 minutes straight. Try to do it 4 days a week, and try to stick with it for 4 weeks. Now, if you fall off the wagon, this is not a failure. You do not have to start the timer over. Just bring yourself back to the practice and keep going. But this idea of being gentle with yourself and having it be a place where you can show up and enjoy and be present rather than another thing on your to-do list is part of what I hope to help people make that mental adjustment for themselves.
Yeah. A lot of friends and I have been talking to about like how perfection hinders progress. It's like if we're constantly big, it's not going to be good enough. It's not going to look this way. It's not going to be like, I think a lot of people see like the bullet journals that are like so pretty. And I'm like, I'm not an artist. Like that's not my thing. Like I'm not that realm of creative. But if I sit and focus on like what I'm not good at, I will miss the thing I am good at. And so I think like you're saying, just start. It's not going to be perfect. We're not here for perfection. It's mostly here to, like you're saying, get it out there, have something to look back to, give yourself that.
Yeah.
Well, and I love, oh, sorry. I love that Hemingway quote that you have on your site where you say that Hemingway, the quote where he says, you know, write while drunk and edit while sober, which I mean, it's like let it all out and then learn from it and reflect on it and move on. And I strive to do that. That's what
I think Hemingway might have actually meant that literally right drunk
I know,
but
for
I
sure.
think it more as an analogy, right? And this idea that that Brianna was mentioning, like, you know, she doesn't consider herself an artist, but she knows she's creative. And as far as I'm concerned, every single human being on this earth is creative. We are all creative beings. I'm not saying we're all artists. That's a totally different animal. That is a very different thing. But we all have a unique creative voice. And journaling is a way for us to tap into that space without the digital noise, because we are in a constant state of respond, react, respond, react, respond, react. Well, how do we step away from that and tap into what our true voice actually sounds like? Well, wait, do I like this? What do I want? How do I feel? And where does that happen in our lives, right? Without sometimes like the very well-meaning input of people who care for us and want the best for us. But even that can muddy the waters. So journaling is a place where you're able to come back to that voice. One of the things I love most about this work is that, and I was talking to Jen about this yesterday, you know, I'm in a really privileged position where I get to hold these groups and hold space for people. And it works every single time. The seed cracks open, right? And I get to bear witness to people coming home to their own wisdom. And what I say is, you know, like as skilled a facilitator as I may be, I'm not telling anybody what to write. The wisdom that's showing up is coming from the individual. The guru isn't me. The guru is you. Nobody knows what is true for you as much as you. And being able to tune into that is available to you by the simple act of putting pen to paper. Mm-hmm. So shall we write a little bit?
Yeah.
Great. Everybody got your pens and pads and pencils. Bust them open now. This is the time. I am going to give you your first journaling exercise. And don't be nervous. If you've never done this before, we're going to go in real gentle. A lot of people say to me, oh, I can't journal, but I write to-do lists. Well, lists count. Lists are a fantastic container for journaling. And it also helps take a lot of the stress of like grammar and punctuation and even handwriting. We don't have to worry about any of that. Remember, there is no intended third-party reader for this. At any point, nobody else is supposed to read this unless you want them to, and that's up to your discretion, right? So what I want us to do is a very simple list of things you are grateful for, right? And if you want to think about this from like a slightly different perspective, I want you to use all 5 senses. Maybe there are sights that you're grateful for, textures you're grateful for, tastes that you're grateful for, scents that you're grateful for, sounds that you're grateful for. Actually use your 5 senses as a way of thinking about this experience. Gratitude is essentially a superpower. We are able to rewire our brains and increase our natural happiness settings by invoking a gratitude practice on a regular basis. That's right. We are not all born with the same happiness settings. And I have done a lot of research where I'm like, I'm not an actually happy person. I've had to work at it. And I can tell you this practice is one of my gold standard go-tos. And I want you to enjoy this. I want it to feel good. So we're gonna write together for 4 minutes, things that you're grateful for, just list them out. I'm gonna put on a little music and I will let you know when it's time to come back. For those of you who are just joining, we are jotting down a list of things we are grateful for using all 5 senses. Okay, welcome back. 4 minutes of gratitude. Did that fly by? When I said writing for 4 minutes, were you like, oh God, I don't know if I can do this? And then when you actually got into it, did you suddenly have this realization of all these lovely things that you are grateful for? Do you feel a shift in your mood or in your body? Was one of the senses easier for you to access than maybe another one? Did you realize you were grateful for something that maybe you hadn't even noticed that you were grateful for until you took the time to write it down? Again, all of these are not necessarily questions for you to answer today, but they're things for you to consider in your journaling practice. Jen, Bri, how was that?
Well, I started off, full disclosure, with anxiety. I have this like perfectionism issue. And I felt like the moment that I started to write, I almost wanted to cry. Like it just felt very cathartic. And I felt like there was a lot of connection to things that I haven't been present with. So I found it incredibly moving, to be honest. As simple as that practice is, it was so fulfilling.
I'm so glad that you had that experience, and thank you for your candor and for sharing it. I really, really appreciate that. And really, it is this incredibly simple tool that's there for you as long as you can just create this was just 4 minutes, right? And you had a profound takeaway. So if you could imagine doing, as I said, 4 by 4 by 4, just a few times a week, starting there and leaning into your practice, I know that you would get so much out of it. Bri, how is it for you? You were nodding, so I bet you have a gratitude practice already.
I did cry and like held it together, which is interesting. My mood lifted immediately. I just went home to Connecticut, which is where I'm from. So I was home for a week, but then I like a lot of crap happened trying to travel back, like delayed flights and to sleep in the airport. So I've been stressed the last like day and a half. And so writing down, like I felt a complete mood shift. Like I had a headache all morning. The headache just went away. My jaw unclenched. I felt way less stressed, and it was just like sitting and like I take every day to like think of one thing I'm grateful for, like before I go to sleep every night. But to be able to like sit and write and be like, oh my gosh, then there's this thing and this thing. So it was just like Jen said, very cathartic, very mood lifting, total shift in like what's important. If you think about it, like I think we can sit and think about all the negatives all day, but to take 4 minutes and just be like, oh, that's right, like I have this and that. So yeah.
And to shift your focus,
Yeah.
right? That is a piece of what's happening in the world that we actually have the choice over. We don't necessarily have the choice of what occurs, but we have the choice around how we respond, and also where we choose to direct our attention. And this gratitude practice is a way of bringing us to the positive, to the positive, to the positive. And if you do it over time, what's really wonderful is that you end up starting to, as you are in your life, scanning your life for those things you are more grateful for. So you are in a palpable state of gratitude on a more regular basis. And again, not all of us are born with the same happiness setting. Some people are just simply happier than others. I'm a Jewish girl from New York. This is not a happy, like normal setting, right? So I've had to learn ways to overcome anxiety, overcome depression. And a gratitude practice is one of those ways to actually change your brain chemistry without, anything else, but just focus. One of the other things I want to say for people who do have a gratitude practice, or they do this over a period of time, and sometimes folks say that it can get a little stale. So what I recommend is, if that's the case, if you're finding that you're writing the same things over and over again, like I'm grateful for the health of my family, I'm grateful for grandma, I'm grateful for the food that right? Yes, all totally worthy, amazing things to be grateful for. Write them all down. Write down the usual suspects and park them. Okay, say like, no, I'm going to use my imagination and creativity to find other things to be grateful for. Now, I'm giving you the permission to park those things. You are not putting a hex on grandma if you do not say that you are grateful for her every single time you do this, right? Because there's a little bit of like magical thinking that ends up kicks in. And what I'm telling you is it's okay. You can park the usual suspects and explore, because it's actually, again, helping you become more creative by invoking that imagination and your five senses. So one of the things that you both mentioned is needing or wanting prompts. And I understand that. I often self-generate prompts. I have some of my favorite poets like Joy Harjo, Rita Dove, and if you don't know who your favorite poets are, explore. What a wonderful thing to find out. Who are your poets, right? But if poetry is not your thing, that's okay. But what I generally do is I'll flip open to a random page, read what's there, and then just sit for a moment, see what comes up for myself. I'm not like in English class interacting with the piece of poetry, writing an essay about it, just seeing like what comes up for me, and then using that as my jumping off point. For other people, try that with a piece of music, or perhaps for visual artists. I worked with a visual artist on helping her break through some creative blocks. And for her, she has a bunch of art books around. And so I said, okay, flip open to a random page and utilize like whatever photograph or painting is on that page and use that as a jumping off point. So we can invoke all these different references for ourselves. Now, I also, as Jen mentioned, I created a deck of journaling prompts with Dr. Monisha Vasa, a psychiatrist, and as a way of helping people in an analog setting, right? Because a lot of folks were like, hey, do an app. And I was like, oh my God, the last thing I want to do is drive people to their phones more. So I came up with this system, right? And it's literally a deck of playing cards that I designed. And it's got a write and a draw prompt on each one. And these are available on my website at allswellcreative.com if you want to gift yourself a deck, or somebody else that you care about. One of the things that you can do is just shuffle them up, pick one at random. They kind of range from pretty varsity to really gentle. So if you get one that you feel is like a little too intense for you that particular day, that's okay. Put it back, pick another one. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Again, this is not intended for it to be something that's really difficult and hard for you. I want it to be something that's supportive and feels good. So I pre-selected a prompt for us today. And this is specifically thinking about that idea of sustainability and being able to make sure that you fill your own cup back up, because many of us who are focused on sustainability can get in that space of eco burnout. It's just really hard to stay motivated against this tidal wave of sometimes negative news, right? But self-care is going to be one of the ways that you are able to maintain your own sense of well-being so that you can then be an activist in the world for making positive change. So I chose, what is your favorite body of water and why? So I've done this prompt with lots of different groups of women and have heard the most extraordinary and amazing responses. One woman said it was the sink where she washes her child. A pro surfer answered, and this really surprised me. I thought she was going to mention some surf break, and she said it's the water in all of her cells. And for me, my favorite body of water is the surf break in Montauk, where I learned how to surf as an adult. And in June, there is this amazing moment in time where the beach roses bloom, and you get this mashup of the scent of the sea and wild beach roses. And that for me is my sense memory that I love most. So I want you to write for 4 minutes thinking about where this body of water is. Conjure up a memory that is associated for you with it. It could be your friend's pool. It could be some creek where you used to go fishing. There is no limit to this, right? And as you can see from how the other women that I mentioned interpreted it, it's open for you to bring your creativity to. And I want you to just spend 4 minutes writing about your favorite body of water and why. I'll put some music on and I'll let you know when to come back. For those of you just joining, we're spending a few minutes writing about your favorite body of water and why. Where were you? Who were you with? Why is it special to you? And if you have any questions, pop them into the chat. Isn't that a dreamy track? It's by Joachim Cooter, and I just love it. It's so beautiful. It's called Gaviota Drive. So welcome back. Where did you go? What I essentially asked you to do was raid the cookie jar of your memory bank and to bring yourself in your imagination to a place that was meaningful to you. And one of the reasons why I asked you to do that is because you can do this at any time. I did this a lot during lockdown when I felt confined and I wanted to travel to places that were meaningful to me. And what I did was I picked memories that filled up my heart, that made me feel really good, and spent time writing about them. And it massively shifted my mood. And it made me feel so much better. And so when you are in a space where you're feeling stuck, bring yourself to one of these beautiful places in nature where you can feel connected and go back to those memories and spend time wandering around in those gardens by writing down what you found there. So Jen, Bri, how was that?
Too short. I was like, wait a minute, I'm in my place. It was magical, and I really felt like I was connecting with my senses. And it was such a different experience from the first session that we did, which was more like specific. Like, I'm grateful for my husband, things, but this really, for me, like, I've never felt that transported before writing about a place. I feel like it ends up being more homework, and this really felt like I just was really connecting to it, and why I was connecting to this place. I loved every minute, and the music also was so beautiful.
I'm so glad. I'm really, really specific about music to journal by. Like, I don't want it to be spa music, but it can't be too distracting.
It was amazing.
Good. I'm so glad. Again, that artist is Joachim Cooter, and I really appreciate him making this track available for us. So a couple other nature-related prompts from the deck that I want to provide for you guys in case this is a theme that you want to spend time with. Are you a sunrise or sunset person? Journal about why. So perhaps pick a specific sunrise or sunset that's meaningful to you. Why is it meaningful to you? Where were you? Where were you in your life? Who were you with? And spend time with that memory. Another one, go sit by a tree or pick a tree from memory, write the story of that tree, embody the tree, and talk about what that tree has seen, or where that tree is, or what kind of tree it is. Is it a pine tree, or do you even know? Or spend a little time thinking about a tree that's meaningful to you. And I know that, like, for me, there are a couple that I planted when I was young and grew, and that tree is something that is meaningful for me. And there's a tree in the public park near where I live that I like to go and just like sit under. Again, during lockdown, that was something that was available to me that meant a lot. So, but these are things that ground you with nature, connect you with, again, your imagination. You're utilizing it as a way of providing this mindful writing exercise as a way of grounding yourself and lowering your cortisol levels and giving you that sense of connection and calm. Bri, how is that for you?
First, I was shocked. Again, I grew up in the Northeast, so I thought I'd pick like actual moving water, but I ended up picking Town Lake here in Austin, which is a man-made lake. But realizing like how many memories I've built at that lake, like from walking the trail to paddleboarding. And then I went down like the whole, like, I've gotten good news and bad news. This lake has served as like conference space for me. This has served as like a place for me to meet like my friends' kids, like new babies and new dogs. And it was just interesting. Like I could hear my feet walking in the gravel around like the dirt around the lake. And then also like remembering what the paddleboard felt like the first time I did it. So it was just, I feel like it was like just all like rushing, and I was like, there's not enough time. Like there's so much more I could write. But yeah, I was first just shocked with myself of like how just like the place that I picked, and then also like realizing like I've been walking that lake for 5 years. That's like 5 years worth of memory with walking. What has that lake seen? What have we experienced together? So yeah.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. I think it's really beautiful how sometimes the things that we think we would do, it ends up when we actually are given the opportunity, it might not be the thing that you expected, right? And to spend time in a place that we enjoy. And for you particularly, it's one that you have access to, and maybe you're going to appreciate it like in a whole new way now. And again, it was just 4 minutes, right? Just 4 minutes, and it's there for you at any time. A couple questions that I want to address. I've been asked to reiterate the 4x4x4. So my recommendation is, especially for those of you who feel like you don't know how to start, try to journal for 4 minutes at a time. Try to do it 4 days a week, and try to stick with it for 4 weeks straight. Again, if you fall off the wagon, it's not like you're going to get a penalty. You don't have to start the timer over. Just bring yourself back to the practice and keep going. Now, if you end up saying that you want to write for more than 4 minutes, great. You don't have to stop, but just give yourself that 4-minute time zone so that you can actually at least start there. And where can we get the prompts and journals? That's again on my website. It's www.allswellcreative.com. Also, for those of you who have journaling questions that I wasn't able to answer, I want you to know over on my handle at AllSwell Creative, I personally answer every single DM. So feel free to reach out to me if you hit any roadblocks or speed bumps with your journaling practice, and I will personally respond to you. And I do my best to provide you with personalized help and support. One more question. How do I stay motivated to journal? That's a good question. First of all, your journaling practice may wax and wane, and that's okay. This is not something that you need to feel guilty about. Right now, right here, I want to take journaling guilt off the table. We do not need something else to feel badly about. So if you wax and wane with your journaling practice, first of all, that's okay. Second of all, what I'd recommend is that you play around with some of these different ways of journaling so that you're exploring and experiencing different kinds of ways of doing it. And that way, you're less likely to get stale. The other thing is that you can think about journaling. What time of day is best for you? Where is best for you? I tend to journal twice a day, which sounds like a lot, not every day, but I don't do it for a ton of time every day. I tend to journal at night in bed, and I write all the stuff down. It's like banging around in my head. I get it down on the page, and I have more nourishing rest as a result. It sounds antithetical because you think like if you were like writing stuff down that it would actually make you stressed out, but studies show that actually journaling before bed promotes more prolonged REM sleep. So there you go. Anybody who's having trouble sleeping, try journaling. And then journaling in the morning, I find to be totally different. I feel like I'm setting my intentions for the day. So I like to do what's called 9 minutes of nourishment. I do 3 minutes of cat-cow stretching to get myself into my body, 3 minutes of a gratitude practice, and 3 minutes of visioning. What do I want to bring into my day? Who do I want to be? How do I want to be in the world? What is it that I am looking to bring into my own life, my community, my family, and the world? No big deal, But the point is that you are setting the intention. So that's 9 minutes of nourishment, 3 minutes of cat-cow, or whatever stretching is available to you that you like, 3 minutes of gratitude, and 3 minutes of visioning. So those are just a few different ways for you to stay motivated and more things for you to try out. So we've covered a lot. We've definitely, I've tried to pack as much in here as possible. I don't know if Jen or Bri, you have any last questions. Otherwise, I'm happy to wrap up.
I just want to say how grateful I am for this experience. And I love that you gave such like snackable, easy, digestible tools that we like the 9 minutes of nourishment is so, like breaking down 3 minutes of this, 3 minutes of like, that is so easy to do. And it's so healing, and the positive impact that it can have on us, that then we can have that positive impact on our community at large is just outstanding, that these small little snackable things can make such a huge, profound impact. So I'm so grateful, and I feel already more grounded and calm and inspired just from this small moment. So I'm really grateful and appreciative, and grateful for everyone tuning in as well, who's enjoying and as part of this experience. And Bri, I'm so grateful for everything that you share with us as well. I always am inspired by you.
Thank you both so much.
Thank you so much, guys. And then also, if anyone is new to town, please stick around and follow us. And we'll be doing more town halls just like this with experts and change makers and ideas to help us to take steps to living a more sustainable life for people and planet. And thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Join us. Sorry, I have some notes that I'm trying to focus on because I get nervous. But thank you again, everybody. And I will make sure that this is posted up on town. I will also have all the links for Laura's website and journals and decks and everything. And yeah, so I'm excited. Thank you again, you guys. I'm really grateful.
Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Put pen to paper. It works.
Yes, it does. Thanks, guys. Bye.